Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines. A lot of it talks about what we saw in the markets, both in crypto and on the TradFi side of things, because it's not just crypto that's down, it's also the TradFi sector, and we can't ignore that either. And then I got a whole headline about America First policy with Donald Trump. So I got a bit to dive in on that one, but then I should have a lot of time for some alt requests. So let's get you prepped for some success today. I've got that stock heat map pulled up like always, and we're seeing a bit of red in the markets. We've got Apple sitting down in that neutral range, down 0.02. In the pre-market, seeing some light sell-off, down 0.4. We've got NVIDIA down pretty big from its close, down 2.8. In the pre-market, looking to take back some of those gains, up 1.93. It does have some earnings that will be coming out at the end of the day, so keep your eyes out for that. You might see some moves in the post-market today. You do have Berkshire Hathaway sitting in the neutral range as well, up 0.28, and in the pre-market sitting down 0.03. Amazon also looking quite neutral, up 0.04. In the pre-market, up quite big right now, up 0.93. We do have Eli Lilly continuing to make big gains, up 2.31, and in the pre-market sitting in that neutral range, up 0.23. Got ExxonMobil down quite big off of some oil data from yesterday, down 1.38. In the pre-market, looking to take back some gains, up 0.16. We got Tesla down quite big from yesterday, down 8.39. In the pre-market, trying to get back some of those losses, up 1.11. We'll definitely be taking a look at that Tesla chart because I do see a bit more downside on Tesla. There's a giant CME gap to the bottom side. We do have P&G sitting up 1.24 and in the pre-market sitting down 0.28. We've got Microsoft is sitting down 1.51, continuing on its losing streak after a giant winning streak. So nothing too big to be concerned about there. They do have some AI plays coming out soon, so you might get another little boost after a solid retracement. Got Google sitting down 2.11 in the pre-market, looking to take back some of those losses, up 0.64. And we've also got Meta sitting down a whopping 1.59 in the pre-market, looking to take back some of those losses, just like everything else, up 0.84. For the crypto side of things, we're looking quite neutral for Bitcoin, down 0.3. We've got Ethereum down 1.5. We've got XRP still below that Tether market cap, sitting down at 2.06. We've got BNB in that neutral range, up 0.12. We've got Solana, a big loser in that top 10, down 4.47. We've got Cardano down 0.78. Doge sitting down at 1.13. Tron sitting down at 0.88. We've got Pi making some moves again, up 22%. We've got Chainlink up 1.18. Litecoin, also one of those big winners we've been talking about here on the Piper Academy, up 9.88. We've got Avalanche up 0.79, Sui sitting in that neutral range, up 0.08, and Stellar Lumens sitting down 0.88. Let's hop over to that economic calendar real quick. We do have some data that just came out, those 30-year mortgage rates. looking down just a little bit, nothing too crazy, from 6.93 to 6.88, so just a small move to the downside. You do have those mortgage rate applications increasing. It was negative 6.6. It is now sitting at negative 1.2. Still under, but a big slowdown on how much it is decreasing. You do have a building permits final coming out here in about an hour, so that might be a slight market mover as well. You don't have anything too heavy on the American side of things until we get to about 10 o'clock with some new home sales looking to be a little bit lower. So we'll have to keep our eye on that 10 o'clock time frame. You might get some volatility there. In between those two time frames, you also have a Fed chair speaking, so I will be keeping my eye out for that. You have been getting a lot of consensus on holding rates and what they will be looking at going forward. So definitely something to keep your eye on at that 8:30 time frame. We do get the crude oil stock information coming out at 10:30, and then another Fed chair speaking this afternoon at noon Eastern time with Fed Bostic. The big data drop will be tomorrow, though. We will be getting that GDP data with durable goods as well coming out tomorrow morning. This will be a massive market mover. We have durable goods orders looking to head back in the positive for the first time in quite a while. It was negative 2.2. Forecast is 2%. We'll kind of have to see how that breaks down, though. Are these new orders, or are they backlogs that we're finally starting to get caught up on? You have GDP growth rate looking to decrease massively. So more news on a contracting economy. Was 3.1, looking at the forecast is 2.3, almost a full percent decrease. You also have your price index for GDP looking to increase about 0.4% from 1.9 to 2.2. So bad data all around for tomorrow. Those initial jobless claims also looking to tick up just a bit. So we'll be keeping our eye on tomorrow's data, and a lot of these moves might be in preparation for that. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds. We are in that extreme fear on the stock side that I've been talking about for quite a while. I figured this was coming after the Trump rally, and we are finally here. We might have a little bit lower to go, though, so might be seeing some more extreme fear in the week, especially with the data drop tomorrow. You have crypto also sitting in that extreme fear, down 4 points, sitting at 21. You still have some liquidity sitting to the bottom side of us here on this 24-hour. That's sitting at about 85,400 for the bottom side, ranging all the way up to about 86,300. This is part of the reason I have a limit order down here at about 83,000, 85,300. Definitely looking for a little bit lower before we see a bounce. I do have a stop loss set a little bit below that, and I'll get into that once we hit that Bitcoin chart here in a second. We do have the 3-day looking like it's got a lot of potential after we clear out the last of that bottom side liquidity to continue a move to the upside. We'll have to get back above a range that was support and is now kind of resistance. We'll have to turn that back into some support before we start this climb back to the upside. We did move down quite heavily and dropped below a lot of key levels that we now need to turn back into some support. So it might be a slow climb back to the upside. That 3-day has a lot of liquidity sitting at about 96,500. The 1 week and the 2 week also looking like a lot of liquidity to the upside. It's not heavy liquidity, but it's nice liquidity to the upside. Almost 100 million, sitting at 97,000, and again up at 99,700. Zoom that on out to the 2-week, looking quite similar with all that liquidity back to the upside if it would load. There we go, sitting up at that $99,000 range. So a lot of pressure to bring us back up once we hit that strong support. Let's hop over to the chat as we get that Bitcoin chart pulled up. All right, I see y'all are moving the chat this morning. We've got Mike Volmer in the chat saying good morning to everyone. We got Jesse Gulak, like always. Hope you get some more sleep. That 3 hours of sleep is not enough, Jesse. I don't know how you do it. That'd be me cranky all day long. We've got All Set in the chat saying good morning. We've got K Diggity in the chat. Good morning, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. Glad to see you in the chats this morning. We've got Alexander G, the mod queen. Hope you're having a great morning. We've got the Dusty Hunt in here. Good morning to you as well. Good morning, good morning. And we've got Alexander G saying share and hit that like button. I appreciate that. We've got Darren Does Things as well. Good morning to you. Username saying, BC told me to sell all my ETH for Toshi and B3. I would never. I would say sell ETH, but that's just, if you didn't check out the video yesterday on Crypto Coin Mindset's channel, you might want to do that. We kind of crapped all over ETH. ETH's a solid project if it would fix some of its problems, and we kind of talk about that there. So go ahead and check his channel out. We got the Dusty Hunt saying, CNBC just said 81K, the 74K, the bounce, finally they are on track. Yeah, I was looking at 85K for yesterday, and still might see that come to play. We do have a little bit of some lower levels we could possibly hit, and we'll kind of talk about those. But I was looking for a strong bottom in that 85 to 100 range. We've got Crypto City in here. Good morning, good morning. K Diggity saying, I've had 24 ounces of coffee. That's technically 3 cups. Yeah, that's actually, I think that's a 5-cupper there, because that's what my coffee pot says. I just have the single person coffee pot, and it says 5 cups is 24 ounces. So I don't know. I make some strong coffee, so it might actually be a little more than 5 cups. We've got Jesse Gulak dropping in that VIP Discord link. Go ahead and check that out. It is $20 a month, and you get a lot of alpha there. We have a DCA strategy. You get one-on-ones with us. So a lot of value for $20, and we are always adding more to that as well. BC and I are mining ECH. Do you mean ETC there, username? I might actually look at mining it. I was thinking about mining some of those Bitcoin forks for this bear market, so I will have to dive into that. K Diggy says 8 ounces is technically a cup unless they do coffee different. I don't know. I believe they do coffee different. I said do. I think it's 6 ounces is a cup for coffee. So it really just depends. I also do a lot of espresso, because I've got an espresso machine that I got for Christmas, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. You can do quite a bit with an espresso machine. Let's dive into this Bitcoin chart. I've got this 4-hour pulled up, and we are finally green on the prime oscillator, but money flow does not look amazing here. It is rolling over just a bit. Definitely looking for a little bit more bottom before we get that strong move to the upside, at least in my eyes. We do have the MACD moving quite sideways here, waiting for that indicator line to kind of catch up to it instead of moving up to the indicator line. So kind of looking for a bit of a sideways range here before we get that solid cross. Really gonna need that money flow to come in on these higher time frames, but it's starting to look like we might see the bottom if we can get that money flow. That's that big if there. We do have the 1 hour looking like you're going to see a bit more downside here for the day, with your MACD hitting that solid curvature, coming back down towards that indicator line. Your prime oscillator just went from solid green as we have been bumping up against this area that was support and is now resistance. We are coming back down to the downside here on your prime oscillator as money flow rolls over just a bit. Looking for a little bit of a stronger level to hit that solid bounce on as money flow comes in. I'm looking at 85,251. That's around where I have my limit order set, and I've got a stop loss set a little bit lower than that because I will be busy today and can't watch the charts. I am looking for that strong move back up off of that with some money flow to kind of come in and rescue things, get back up to this 90,800 level. We'll kind of have to see if money flow can kind of come in today and rescue that. That would be a little bit later in the day after we get that strong bounce. We are looking to lose this 50% fib line all over again, and that would be a stronger move to the downside here. You do have the 15-minute already getting that strong rollover. We did cross that zero line on our MACD, looking a little bit bearish. We do have these divergences that are starting to stack up and are looking to play out here. Money flow is back in the red on a shorter term time frame. Volume is selling volume as well, so going to need to switch a lot of these back over to the green with that money flow before we really get that strong move up. If we don't maintain this 50% fib line, which we've been doing quite well since we got back above it and bouncing off that 89,200 level over and over again, looking to kind of break in either direction, and it does look like it might break to the downside with that money flow. You do have the golden pocket sitting right below us at 83,100. That would be that area I would look for if you were unable to maintain this 85,200 range as some support. That was where we got some strong wicking action back off of at the beginning of the range. I did show y'all that yesterday. Other than that, if we can find this strong support, I would start looking back up to the upside here. You will have a bit of resistance at 92,558. That'd be that first area I would start looking for some faltering at. If you can get some strong money flow after we turn this area back into some support, that's going to be key first. We will need to turn this into some support before we can get back up to that 92,000. Then it's a quick move back up to these key levels up here where we saw a nice little range for about a day or so. This is the next area to watch if we can kind of get that money flow coming back in. If not, it's a quite ugly move back down to 70, like that $76,000 range, and that's our platinum pocket there. That's the areas I really don't want to see. That means that all of your alts are bleeding even heavier than they were. You do have that Bitcoin dominance really creeping back up here. We topped back off up at that 62%, looking to maintain our 60% range and maybe tick a little bit higher. This is something I've been watching quite heavily as the market has been bleeding. Bitcoin maintains its dominance. So a nice thing to see. We did get that topping out at about 64% the other day before we really move back down quite heavily. These are the areas I really want to see us get back up to before we really show some strength in the market. All right, let's hop over to a few of these news articles. If anyone has any alt requests they'd like me to take a look at, go ahead and drop those in the chat. I did want to look at gold, IP, and Tesla. I've also got a limit order set on IP for a little bit lower level, and I'll break that down. I see Baba Yaz in the chat. Good morning to you. We've got Conspiracy Crypto in the chat as well. Good morning. Hope y'all are having a great day so far. Let's hop over to these news articles. We've got a gold article. As always, gold's been getting talked about a lot. We have the bullion continues its upside swing, but sentiment has turned more challenging for bulls. How long before they get $3,000? Gold scratches fresh record. Gold prices remained well bid on Tuesday and even peaked to a fresh record intraday high. It's 2,956. That's how much gold bugs were able to get for an ounce before bears stepped in and said that's enough. Price slipped about $20 to float between 2,930 and 2,940 an ounce. Trump's looming tariff hikes are still fuel to the precious metal as gold deters fear that they might get treated with a tariff. Historically, gold has been exempt from an extra tax charge on import. That's kind of something we'll have to watch. I did talk about a few of these levels yesterday, and we'll take another look at that chart here in a second. But gold record-setting rally has recently hit a ceiling. To break out of its bulls will need to blast through 2,960 as market watchers have set their gaze on the $3,000 milestone. Against this backdrop, traders expect the volatility in gold prices to continue throughout the week, even without too many huge news and events on deck. The big news is going to be that GDP data. So if you are seeing more contracting economy with inflation kind of coming back in, this is a good upside for gold. Well, that's one of those reasons I want to take a look at that chart. We did hit one of the levels I was talking about for a bottom side. We've got the NASDAQ composite wipes out 1.2% as tech crumbles under gloomy outlook. The Dow made it out. The NASDAQ Composite Index slumped to kick off the trading week, posting a 1.2% Monday loss. Markets, especially the tech sector, weren't in the groove for gains as investors were challenged by the rising tariff threat and overall murkier outlook for corporate growth. The S&P 500 joined its tech peer underwater, posting a 0.5% decline on the day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was a winner, up a mere 33 points, or less than 0.1%. The Nasdaq Monday decline cost it all the gains made through 2025 as the hype around Donald Trump's America First policies had turned from a bonanza to a drought. The U.S. president's hostile efforts to impose tariffs as a way to assert U.S. dominance have dented corporate America's bright outlook. Trump said Monday that his planned tariffs on Mexico and Canada are going forward on time, on schedule. He called out for other nations to take advantage of the U.S. on just about everything, so the tariffs will go forward and we're going to make up a lot of territory, Trump said. Just another thing that ties into this next article, because this is kind of a little bit on the negative side of the current Trump policies. You do have some worries that can kind of come with the America First agenda, and I don't want to ignore those. I have talked quite positively, but there are some negative sides too. It's not all amazing going forward. There are going to be some hurdles, and this is where you might see some of these rising inflation costs and costs to the consumer, and it might hurt for just a little bit before it gets better. We'll kind of have to dive into this article real quick, and then I'll talk on the other side and break it down just a bit. We've got no golden ages coming. Trump's tariff will hit Americans with higher interest rates and more inflation. Protectionism won't make us rich, especially if tariffs launch a trade war. President Trump's trade tariffs will radically alter America's foreign and economic policies and won't create the golden age for America that Trump promised. Americans do live better than their peers in other industrialized countries currently, but ordinary Americans have seen the pillars of middle class life, affordable home ownership, college, and groceries escape them. U.S. life expectancy is declining, and the mounting national debt is a ticking time bomb. While top professionals enjoy remarkable incomes, overall the nation's working and middle class are unhappy. For those less fortunate, economic struggle is a byproduct of globalization. The America's populist reaction to globalization is to withdraw from foreign entanglements, secure the country's border, and somehow resurrect American manufacturing and well-paying jobs through protectionism. But in truth, protectionism has a price. Trump's tariffs will leave the U.S. unable to access cheaper labor and natural resources. Protectionism compels more manufacturing in areas of comparative disadvantage and reduces productivity. Democrats share responsibility for this costly Trump obsession. Former President Joe Biden's industrial policies were financed with deficit spending and money printing. The inflation that followed lowered many Americans' real income. The complaints, once solid Democrat voters, the working class whites, Hispanics, and blacks who delivered a mandate to Trump last November, are being acted out in the president's transactional international policies. Before even resuming office, Trump threatened to withhold support to force Israel to accept a ceasefire in Gaza. He is pressuring Ukraine to settle with Russia and demanding access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. Trump threatened to slap tariffs on Mexico and Canada to better enforce the U.S. border and combat drug smuggling. He won't disavow the military opinion to wrestle Greenland from Denmark and retake the Panama Canal. And this kind of dives a little bit more into those negative impacts, but I will kind of break that down myself because there are some negative impacts to this, and I won't ignore those because with those rising costs on your manufacturer, as we are less able to get goods cheaply to manufacture, you might see a little bit increase on inflation. Just notice BC in a salmon shirt, bold. It's actually pink. It's hold on, let me get it. Move to the side. It's the Golden Girls. It's one of my favorite shirts. Yeah. I wear this shirt quite often. It's actually bright pink, but my lights kind of make it look a little more salmon. But we will be wearing a lot of pink shirts here because pink's my favorite color, actually. So I wear it a lot. It was kind of hard to see. I was wearing them when it was cold here because I stay in a basement, and it was like negative 10 degrees down here because it's hard. It's hard to keep that basement warm when it's like negative 20 degrees out. So I was all bundled up for a few weeks. We're back in the 60s. I don't know what's happening this winter. It's been a roller coaster. But this America First agenda does have a bit of some negative impacts it can have. With the trade wars, this is that first little thing you will kind of have to battle with. You are trying to bring back some of that manufacturing to the United States, but the cost of that is going to be slightly more expensive goods as we try to land on our feet. You do have a lot of factories that can quickly be moved to manufacture these goods, but it will take time, and the cost of those goods to import the raw materials will be increased just a little bit. So that will take time as we try to bring strength back into the labor market. And that's one of those little negatives that will take some time to really settle before it turns positive. It does take a lot of time for economic policies to really play out. So a lot of these you won't see the effect of for 8 to 10 years. And that's kind of what we're looking for. You got to play the long game when it comes to the economy. The policy uncertainty has been really showing its head in the current markets. That's why you're seeing such heavy sell-offs. You're seeing gold doing so amazingly. You're seeing crypto come down as well because it's that risk on asset. there's a lot of uncertainty here. And until we get that actual certainty back in the market, you're going to see some continued sell-off, not only in crypto, but on the TradFi side of things as well. The only thing that's really been doing quite amazing is the health sector on the actual manufacturing of drugs and other medical equipment. You have some robotics doing quite well in the medical sector. So just something to kind of keep your eyes on. That sector will continue to roll. This is America, and we do have some of the best healthcare in the United States. It just costs a lot of money. So innovation is something that they're trying to force on that aspect as well. The inflationary pressures are going to be the biggest part of this America First agenda. And that's kind of what that article talked a bit about, especially with the higher imports on the raw materials. This will lead to higher prices in the short term before you really see the dust settle. You'll kind of have to promote unilateral trade agreements. So this is why Trump has proposed those tariffs back on countries that tariff our goods or don't even allow them there. And this will allow us to make new connections with new countries that we don't really do a lot of trade with. There's an entire world to do trade with, and we don't need most of our goods coming from China. Sorry, it's just the truth. It makes your country weak, and this is kind of what Trump wants to negate here. It's just going to take time to play out. You will need to see some more transparency coming from the new administration to kind of see where you're going to set your money. And this is something we'll have to wait and see to bring that confidence back. You do have the central bank going to be a lot of pressure on them here, especially as inflation does go higher. You might see those interest rates tick up higher as well. This is something I've talked about since last year, that you might not actually see those interest rates keep coming down. We're going to hit that point where we're starting to see inflation start creeping back up because we're seeing it over the entire world. And that's where we'll have to watch those interest rates. So as long as the Fed can continue to do its own thing and not be too manipulated by the Trump administration, you might negate some of those American First negatives that we might see. And it will take time for that workforce to really gain that strength. We will need to kind of promote some new learning ventures, which is what Trump has started to do with the Department of Education. He does think that the college sector is played out a bit. You do see a lot of these jobs not being able to actually be put to use. You go to college for a 4-year degree, you're in debt massively, and then you can't even get into the sector that you wanted to do your work in. So definitely something to watch as we see more of these jobs coming out, what they do on the back end if we privatize the education system. You might see more plays on what is actually useful to America in its current state. So just a few things that the Trump administration can do to kind of keep these America First agendas from hurting America on the back end in the short-term time frame, because in the long-term time frame, it does have a lot of benefits. You do need to trade on a global stage because the economy is globalized, as that article had said, and kind of making some new connections would keep us in that race. So a few things I'm looking at for this America First agenda to try to negate some of the negatives. Got Lunar Beaches in the chat. Good morning, good morning. He just hops in and says no. I don't know what that one's about there. All right. You might have to break that one down for me, because no is not does not really let me know what you were thinking there. We got Wick 589 in the chat. Good morning, good morning. I see Randy Abite as well. Good morning to you. And Buck saying, well, good morning. We're talking about dungeons. Make sure you have an Andrew's cross. All set, Sam. I'm hungry after that salmon talk. Let's see. Wick 589 says, see, if corporations would have cut out their own greedy, unnecessary price increases, we might be on our way to more rate cuts. But the corporate profits are too important for such consideration. I agree on some of that one. Lunar Beast is saying isolationism is dumb. And this is where, isolate you kind of have to go in cycles where it's like, okay, we don't need to worry so much about the global stage. We need to worry about a lot of what's going on in America. And right now, America is the strongest of all crap economies. But if you want to do more good, you need to make sure you're strong at home first. And this is kind of something that a lot of Americans agree with. And that's not necessarily saying that you cut everyone out. It's just saying that you bring strength at home first, and then you worry about making new connections with different countries instead of importing 80% of your goods from China. That's a big no-no. Like, that leaves you very weak if anything ever happens. So a lot of this has been also corporations that have fled America after they got bailed out, went over to China to manufacture cheap goods, and then they imported those goods to Mexico to be put together so they could get around a lot of these tariffs that keep them out of America, actually benefiting your everyday American. So that's kind of why that America First agenda is in place. Bring some of that strength back home before we really start trying to do more things on a global stage. Definitely a balance and a cycle that you kind of have to go through over and over. You take your step out onto the stage, and then when you're weak at home, you need to focus on home, come back, get things back in order, and then you can kind of be America and swing that gavel around and tell other people what to do. Well, we're kind of weak at home to be telling anyone what to do. So that's kind of why I'm okay with that America First agenda for now. There's a lot of problems here at home that we need to fix before we try to fix anyone else. And that's something I would like to see us do. We got Wick 589. Where was it? The Dollar Tree is now $7 tree, says K Diggity. Yep, kind of that direction inflation has been heading. Oh, yep. Even LBC. Well, yeah, there's a balance. Most definitely a balance. And that's kind of what we've been really outward focused with the past, I'd say 20 years or so. Ever since we stepped foot into the Chinese markets, we've been really outwardly focused, and it has led a lot of companies to leave America. They're an American company with a headquarters in America, but they don't do shit in America at all. All of their manufacturing processes are outside of America, and the only people that are benefiting from it is the people at the company that are on higher levels. And all those workers that used to work for those companies went to go find other work, and they weren't able to find work that was correlating to what they were doing, and now they're working at lower sectors, or they're trying to have to go back to college to find something to do, because everything requires a college degree nowadays, even if you're just like in charge of people flipping burgers. It's kind of a broken system here at home, and we need to fix that first before we deal with anything else. Got John Foster, crypto in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great day so far. Slow motion wick ready for alt season, but I've been grateful for lower prices. So have I. We've been outwardly focused but scaling back our naval presence in trade routes. Yep, that definitely has been happening a bit, but I don't think we need as many of those trade routes as we've been having, especially since a lot of those trade routes don't necessarily always benefit us. And we're protecting other people's trade routes instead of focusing at home and bringing strength to the American economy. I did have gold pulled up because I did talk about that gold article, and we saw that nice move back down to that 236. Sorry about that. The 236 that I was looking at, and a bounce back up towards our golden pocket, and we have now settled back down here at the 382. That was that area I wanted to see us come to with a lot of money flow, and this is kind of where we're ranging right here. This 1 hour chart does have money flow rolling over just a little bit, so you might see another little bounce off of that 382 as money flow comes back down. Your prime oscillator still looking up, but that's where you need that money flow to kind of come back in, and that 382 looks like a strong bouncing point here before we try to get back above that $2,918. This is a bit of a resistance area here. You can see we've got strong wicks off of it, and we saw very heavy selling pressure as soon as we got back above it. So this is this whole area I'd look at for some ranging before we get that move back to the upside. Really depends on some money flow here, just like the rest of the markets. No different here than anything else. Waiting on some money flow. 4 hour looking like you're starting to see some bottoming out, but your prime oscillator is still red here. So looking for a little more downside as our MACD just broke that zero line. Indicator line just broke it as well, but we are moving a bit sideways underneath that zero line, so some money flow can really drag things back up to the upside as we range here below this 50% fib on an extension and the 382. You see very heavy buying pressure here under that 382 and $2,900. Might take 518 hours BC. I'm not sure if you're talking about gold there, but 518. Yeah, I was looking at for the rest of this kind of week. Thursday would be that kind of catalyst to get that move to the upside on gold with the data drop we're going to see tomorrow. How's Meta looking? Well, after I hop into these other ones, I will take a look at that because I did have Meta pulled up in the background. I wanted to take a look at IP because I've been talking about that quite a bit here. It did look like it's got a solid little bounce here off of our platinum pocket, but I was looking for a bit of a retrace back down to this golden pocket on an extension. You are seeing some resistance back at the one line here and $6.78. Your 15-minute does have a bit of a roll over back to the top side, but your prime oscillator is sitting light red as a money flow is kind of waffling around here in this range. You've got your MACD under your indicator line moving a bit sideways, but definitely have a little bit of some downside pressure if this money flow doesn't move over to your higher term time frames. You do have a lot of buying volume here on the 15-minute, but your 1 hour is looking a bit ugly. That money flow is holding steady, but you've got a bit of some divergences stacked up here, and your prime oscillator is red for the first time and since we got this move back up to that 382. So looking like you might see a bit of a retracement here as your MACD is also coming back down to this indicator line here on the 1 hour, and your volume is rolling over just a bit. So looking for some money flow to maintain this 618 on our fib extension and continue to see that bounce to the upside. I did have Tesla also pulled up. That was one I was talking about at the start of the show. And you can see we have lost the golden pocket here on a fib retracement. This is a macro fib retracement pulled from the start of this move to the upside, where we saw this resistance line pulled from. You did close out this CME gap from the beginning as we broke below our 50% fib line, and we've now broken below the golden pocket here. Definitely looking for a little more downside here as our 4 hour is continuing to look to the bottom as money is continuing to flow out, looking to make lower lower lows on that money flow. Prime also looking very heavily red and getting no curvature here. MACD also breaking below that indicator line and creating some giant width here, waiting for that move kind of sideways. Definitely looking like this golden pocket might be a resistance area now, and you might see us come back down to this top side of our CME gap at about 280 before we try to make another little pushback up to our resistance line that I've had drawn out since the beginning of the range. Got Link, ETH, and Sol requested. Definitely have some time for that. Blasted through all the things I wanted to look at. Got LTC, ETH, Sol, and Link. All right, we can take a look at a few of those. Retire after 10 years doing HVAC. I must tell my friends they did their HVAC careers wrong. That's kind of what I'm looking at with doing with my CDL. I'm in the process of getting that CDL, and as soon as I fulfill my 2-year employment contract, go make over 100K for 8 years and kind of just chill it out and work for myself. Let's see. No way. I wouldn't go to college if I did it again. Get my HVAC certs all the way. Find a good corporate campus. Retire in 10 years. Yep. That's kind of what I'm looking at doing with the CDL. So that's what username was talking about there. We've got you willing to go international for corporate. You're trying to retire in 5 years. Says Wick 589. Yeah, that's another way to do it. I want to stay at home and drive, so that's why I'm looking at maybe doing 10 years of it. Yeah, the trades are where it's at. Plumbing, made over 100K working for someone else, and then launched my first business. Quickest way to make gains. Yeah, a lot of people undersell those trades. The trades are a good way to make money. You don't really even need a high school education for it, as long as you show up and you're willing to work and you put in the effort and you continue to show up and you're okay with being someone's biatch for a few years before you really make a name for yourself. You can make a lot of money in the trades. You just got to stick with it. It's not pretty work, but it's work that needs to get done. And there's been a lot of focus on the college education route and those nice little comfy jobs. But America needs those hardworking people to do those dirty jobs, or America won't continue to be America. You need garbage men, you need HVAC, you need plumbing, you need electricians. All of these things are extremely needed, and they've been underplayed, and that sector is really struggling. So definitely a lot of money to be made there. Let's hop back over to the crypto side of things. Take a look at a few of these requests here. We did have LTC first from LBC, and it was making massive moves to the upside, up 9%. It kind of faltered here at the range that I was wanting to see. We did make some strong support here at 115.33 before we got that strong bounce back to the upside, flagged out a bit, made a strong bounce to the upside, flagging out just a bit here. You have your 1 hour looking like it's got a little more room to come down, but seeing a strong little bounce off of these equal candles here would be a nice move to see. That's 121 before you continue that move back up to 128.27. The 1 hour does look like it's very solid on that buying volume. So definitely looking like it's holding up a little bit better than the rest of the sector. You do have that 4 hour looking like it's got plenty of room to run to the upside here. That's why I'd look at that very strong bouncing level there. Let me get that as a horizontal ray, because that was all crooked and it was messing with me. There we go, about 121.26 there. And that's where I'd look for a bit of some bouncing. You do have some stronger levels to the bottom side. That would be the short-term bounce I would look at, that 121.26, before we try to continue back to the upside. This was a shorter-term time frame level. It's a little bit off there. I don't know why. There we go. Off those candle wicks. 129 would be that area I would look for a bit of some resistance. Let's zoom this on in to our 15-minute, see what the morning is bringing our way. You have the prime oscillator and MACD cooled off very quickly as it moved to the bottom side. Prime oscillator sitting red here, waiting on that true 7 to kind of clip out completely before we get that move to the upside. That's looks like a quite in line with that 121.26. You might see it bounce off of this moving average here as a 121.94. Really depends on that money flow. Could it hit a solid bounce and continuation to the upside though? Especially with the way that it's cooled off quite heavily as it's gotten a small retracement down. LTC, let's take a look at ETH. ETH looking ugly. It is maintaining a solid level though at 2400. You do have a bit of a range to the bottom side. Could come as low as all the way down here at that 24,100 all over again. We have struggled to maintain this 382 on an extension. It has turned into some resistance. We've only got wicking above this. ETH likes to range quite heavily and then break in either direction, and it looks like the range that it decided to break in is to the downside. So very, very, very strong moves to the bottom. We are below all of these areas of support and looking to create areas that were support into resistance all over again. ETH to zero, says Jesse. I don't think he's zero because there's a lot of money in that system, but I'm definitely not the biggest fan of ETH and its centralization. And if you check out Crypto Coin Mindset's video from yesterday, we talk a lot about it. You have that 4 hour, which is also looking like it's rolling over, which is not what you want to see as you come to strong areas. You do have this 236 on our extension at $2,050, which would be that kind of last line of support that I would look for. 4 hour rolling over, money flow rolling over. It's all just looking really ugly for Ethereum as Bitcoin has regained some dominance. So really looking like some more ETH sell-off might be heading our way. 15-minute just breaking that zero line with both the indicator line and the MACD line. Prime oscillator still sitting solidly red as money flow is continuing to come out on all time frames here. So looking for that strong bounce. Probably going to be that 2,000 level. If we break a whole lot lower, it's looking quite ugly for Ethereum. Let's zoom that on out to that weekly, kind of see that first little area below that 236. If we're unable to maintain, you have an area all the way down at about 18, which 19, where you saw very equal candle bodies here. It's also where you saw our rejection once we were unable to really get back up to that 236. That's going to be that kind of next little area below the 236 I would look at. Other than that, it's kind of a bit of a free fall down to our bottom side there at about 1,500. Kind of ugly. I hope we don't get that low for Ethereum, but the queen of crypto is not looking pretty. We had Solana requested. Let's just do over the shorter term time frames. I was talking about those lower levels, $130, and it looks like we got a bit of a bounce here, but we still have some more downside that we could see on Solana as well. I'm very happy about this one because I don't like Solana at all. So you know, kill me. You know you do kill me well. You like it too, and I can tell. Oh, Hawthorne Heights. Yep. Yeah. I was actually listening to that at the gym this morning. So that's quite funny there. I was not expecting you to quote some Hawthorne Heights. It's they make some great songs to work out to if you just trying to hit it hard. All right, this weekly looking a bit ugly here. Let's zoom on in to the daily, looking like it's trying to find our bottoming, but this one day MACD looks so ugly here. Breaking off of the indicator line, not even able to come up to it, just close the gap a bit and then make more of a gap. Your prime oscillator sitting solidly red on the bottom, selling volume like crazy, making some lower highs though. True 7 kind of clipping out here, but your money flow is coming on out of Solana here on a higher term time frame. So golden pocket might come back in play, and 118. You do have that 1 hour looking like it's also getting a bit of some rollover here on your money flow. MACD, wrong button. MACD crossing the zero, crossing our indicator line to the bottom side. Ugly on the 1 hour. Buying volume, but money flow is coming out. So looking for a bottoming here on Solana as well. 15-minute and the morning looking like you might see a little bit of some bouncing, but it's still looking ugly as your money flow is still coming out here on a shorter term time frame. Volume is been selling volume for quite a while here. You've got a reversal signal, but your prime oscillator kind of rolled on over. So really looking a bit ugly on the short-term time frames as well. Long XRP right now, not financial advice. I don't have time to look at XRP, but drop that in the Discord for us, sir. Just another little teaser that we do with those WAP upperclassmen. We do some trade setups as well. So if you are not in the Discord, you are missing out. Have some brief time to take a look at link that was requested as well. Link kind of got up to that area I was talking about the other day. Let's zoom this on out to the 4 hour. You can kind of see as soon as we got back to that $15.54 area, we started seeing some resistance. Topped out at about $15.63 before we drug back down this level. Getting that MACD and prime oscillator with some curvature here on the 4 hour to kind of come back down. Need money flow to really come back in on this one. You've got lots of selling volume on the 4 hour. MACD line broke that indicator very sideways, so it could be a very easy drag back down to that platinum pocket here on our higher term time frame before we see that money flow coming back in. Got your 15-minute and the morning looking like you're going to drag back down quite heavily. Your prime oscillator with a reversal signal rolling back over. True 7 just went from green to red. You have some buying volume in here, but it is light, very light buying volume. And your MACD just broke that indicator line on the top side, looking to come back zero as we just printed our first solid red candle. So looking like you got a bit more downside. I do have some limit orders set to the bottom side on a few assets, so I hope you guys are prepared for the morning. It doesn't look awesome. Just looking for that money flow to kind of come back in, and that's what we've been waiting for all week. It might not come until tomorrow when we get tomorrow's data drop though. So keep your eyes out for that one. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the Piper Academy. We've got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Piper will break down some of that data, housing data we will be getting here in about 30 minutes. We also have the Trade Academy at 4 p.m. A lot of great alpha there. Do not miss it. We've got the Crypto Nightcap at 8 p.m. as well. And Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches, who's in the chat. Does some great work there as well for that Asian time frame. We got creatine. Hurry, says Wick 589. Oh, no. Well, we know what Dave Digital is going to be doing here in a second. But All right. I will see y'all in the Alexo Crypto chat because it is time for Alexo Crypto. It is 7 o'clock. Make sure to trade safe. You might see a little bit of some volatility to the downside before we get some strong bounces to the upside. Other than that, make sure to wake up because today is going to be a good day.